Hello guys, you are watching a brief review of the Netpeak Spider 3.0 tool. It's an updated version of Netpeak Spider SEO Crowler. For those of you who haven't used the program, it's a program designed to check your website for any SEO errors, and you can also use it as a tool to scrape pretty much any data from any website. So if you have never heard of it and you want to perform any of these tasks, you are welcome to check out the Netpeak Spider thing. You have 2 weeks free trial. It's an old school type of trial, no credit cards required, no limits. You get the full version of the program for full 2 weeks, and you can accomplish a lot in that time with this tool, believe me. So this video will be about the update to version 3.0. So let's get to the update in question. There is a huge blog post on the Netpeak software blog. It's pretty comprehensive and you can learn everything about the update here. I'll just go over some of the things and explain to you how they work and what they changed. First thing I want to do is I'm gonna go ahead and start crawling on some websites so we can use it as a reference as I show you what has changed. I am going to use opera.com because it has a pretty fast response times, and the crawling has started. Settings are default. We'll get back to it in a minute. Meanwhile, let's go and check out what's new in the new version of the Netpeak Spider. The main point of this update is that the tool was optimized for speed and for working with huge or giant websites, which means that if you have a website with more than 100,000 pages, this should be a great upgrade for you. So let's go check the comparison with competitors first, and then I'll just show you some of the updates. First table of comparison with competitors is comparison of the new version of the Spider to the previous version on a medium website, which is 10,000 pages large. As you can see here, the memory usage was 3 times less than in the previous version. The disk space is pretty much the same, but the time to analyze 10,000 pages was reduced from 25 minutes to 3 minutes, which is already incredibly cool. But the changes start really showing on large websites. Here you have a table of comparison of the speeds for a website with more than 100,000 pages, and it took only 27 minutes to analyze 100,000 pages on the new version of the program versus almost 14 hours on the previous version of the tool. And again, memory usage 4 times less, and disk space is pretty much the same. Now let's see how it compares to its actual competitor. So on the medium websites where we're analyzing 10,000 pages, you can see that Netpeak Spider is using less memory than any other competitor. Its time to analyze 10,000 pages 3 minutes, the same as analyzing the website with the memory mode on Screaming Frog. I'm gonna go ahead and probably just stick to comparing these two, seeing as memory type of crawling with Screaming Frog is the fastest among the rest of the tools here. So moving on to large website, and again this is where differences are starting to show. First you have the smallest amount of memory used to analyze 100,000 pages, and you have the fastest time again, 27 minutes versus 44 minutes at the closest on Screaming Frog. Both tools were set to use default parameters. To be honest, it plays against Netpeak Spider 3.0 even because by default it's checking PDF files and a lot of other stuff that slows down the process, and still it was faster. You can compare these tools on any website yourself and see if any of these holds up. Okay, so we're done with comparison. We see that it's supposed to be a very fast tool that doesn't use any memory, and all this time it was running in the background on opera.com, and you can see that we have crawled 5,700 URLs already, and it was like 5 minutes I believe on default settings. Not as fast as listed here, but it heavily depends on the website you're working with and on the response times on the website you're working with. Okay, let's move on to the updates of the tool in the version 3.0. We have this in a nutshell list on this blog post on Netpeak software blog, where we have all of the main or biggest updates listed here. We've already gone through optimized RAM usage and up to 30 times faster crawling, especially when it comes to larger websites. Next you have the option to resume crawling after opening the project. Thing is that, as you can see, we are past 6,000 pages now. I can pause the project anytime. I can decide whether I want to analyze the link weight distribution of the website or not. Let's keep trying just to see how long it takes. And after you post the project, you can either close your laptop, go home, and then after you return back to the office, you can resume the crawling again, or you can actually go and save your project and transfer it to a different machine or open it again on the same computer, and that will allow you to resume crawling from the same spot you left it the day earlier or previously. It's still calculating internal page rank. I'll tell you more about internal page rank in this video a bit later. It's a very important thing if you never heard of it. So what I was going to show you is that you can save the project. You can name it however you like test project. Come on, test. Okay. And I can clear all the results. Okay. Now let's see if I can open it. Yep, test project. And you can see we're back to 6,000 pages, and if I hit start, we'll resume from the same spot. And if you want to do that from scratch, you just hit restart. So as you can see, we're continuing from 6,000 pages analyzed. Again, you can transfer this project to any other machine where you have Netpeak Spider software installed and resume your crawling from that place. Also, you can remove URLs from reports or rescan the list of URLs. These two are basically, you can work with URLs in your report. Let me show you what it means. For example, you're checking some website and you suddenly realize that you don't want to analyze some of the URLs here. For example, you have the URLs with the blog.opera.com. You can go ahead, select these URLs, right click on them and delete them. Now that you've removed these URLs from your main table, you will not see any issues related to these pages. So that is a useful feature in case you're working on a large website and you know that there's a part of a website that hasn't been touched in years and there's nothing you're going to do about it yet, so you might as well ignore it and remove it from reports to keep them clean. And similarly, rescanning the URLs, it means that, for example, you are working on a website and you found a number of pages with missing or empty H1 heading, let's put it this way. You take these URLs, all of them preferably, all results, yeah. You take these URLs with missing H1 headings and you create a task for a team of copywriters or content team on your project and tell them to come up with unique H1 headings for each page. You save your project and you go home. The week later they tell you that they're done with H1 headings. You can go ahead, open your project, go to missing or empty H1s, and you will have this report. You can select all of the URLs here in the current table. This table is for URLs that don't have the H1 heading, and rescan the table, or just select a few URLs and rescan these. It means that you'll get updated info about these URLs without having to recrawl all of the website again. So going back to our list of changes, and let's see what else we have here. We have changing parameters during crawling. It means, again, when you have your project put on pause, like I do here, and you see that you have a lot of pages with, again, missing or empty H1 headings, but you don't actually care about that for whatever reason. You can go to parameters here and decide if you want to check these or not. So H1 content you do not care for. Images, and you can remove anything related to links. So basically, if you see that it's using too much memory and you only care about some of the things here, like whatever I have left here, as you hit start, you will resume analyzing the website from this same place, 7,000 URLs, but you will now only check for these parameters. The information about parameters you have just disabled will disappear from the reports, but if you enable them back on during crawling, they will be shown for the pages that were analyzed. So for these 7,000 pages, you can still get these data later on. Okay, going back to our list, we have data segmentation. This is a pretty big feature and a really cool one. It helps you work with website analyzing and helps you analyze it way more efficiently. Okay, so you have this dashboard here with a lot of information. You have your errors here, and the thing is about segmentation is you can use anything here as a segment. What it means is, for example, you have a list of compliant or non-compliant URLs. This is also a new feature in Netpeak Spider. It's on the same list. I'll tell you about it right now, so not to go back to it later. It now determines if whether the URL is compliant or not. Compliant URL, it means that URL is not closed for indexing, and it basically fits all of the parameters necessary for it to be indexed and ranked by Google. It may not be ranked by Google or indexed if its quality is too low, but it shows that this page was built to be indexed. So to put it that way. So you can go and click on compliant URLs and then use it as a segment. As you can see, the number of errors here decreased because you're now only working with URLs that are compliant. So if you had issues on any pages that were not supposed to be indexed, they will be removed from your list here. And similarly, you can work with errors. You can go and click on duplicate titles and use these pages as a segment. Now you only have compliant URLs with duplicate titles, and you can see what other issues they have. And when you switch to site structure, you can see where exactly you have these compliant URLs with duplicate titles. It helps with again working with large websites. For example, you can find that your blog section has a lot of issues with titles, and the rest of the website not so much. So you can focus on that one section of the website, fix it first, and drastically improve the quality of your website by focusing only on one segment. Here's how you reset the segments and go back to your normal view of your project. Let's keep it running and go back to our list of changes. We have dashboard information about crawling process and diagrams after it's complete. You have just seen it in action. It basically means that you have a dashboard which has two states. One, as it crawls, you can see how many URLs have been crawled, how many URLs are left to crawl, the average speed, which is currently at almost 50 URLs per second, which is insanely fast, with 10 active threads only. And you see what settings you're using. This is a very important update because sometimes you can launch a project and, for example, mistakenly enable consideration of robots.txt files. For example, you want to check all of the website, but you have recently made some updates to robots.txt, and most of your website is disallowed now for some amount of time temporarily. And if you are using that setting, considering the robots.txt, Netpeak Spider will be skipping the pages that are disallowed in robots.txt, and you will not get any results for those. So you can see it here. You can see what user agent you're using, what's the crawling mode, whether you're analyzing the website or list of URLs. So just basically you can double check your own preferences. Again, settings for virtual robots.txt, scraping and everything. So we can see now that we're actually crawling the opera.com website with these settings, and everything seems to be fine. And after you stop or pause the project, you get the dashboard with results. You have just seen it in action again, number of errors. Here you can find a breakdown by response time, by how many pages you have with critical issues or normal issues. Back to our list, we have here the ability to export more than 10 new reports and more than 60 new issue reports in 2 clicks. It means that the actions you have to go through to export anything have been minimized to just a few. You have a special export button up here, and you can export all available reports at once and save them to a folder and get everything for opera.com that you can get, or just export any certain report that you're looking for. Like if you're looking at broken links, you can export current table and get just information about broken links. Another upgrade to exporting feature is that now if you export information about broken links, you will get the report that will look like this. In previous version, you would get every issue for the page on your report. So if this page has more issues than 4 or 3, you will get all of them listed in the report you export. You still have that option. You can still enable exporting everything that is available for a page, but it's easier to work with reports separately, so that's an option here. Back to our list, we have determining of compliant URLs. I have explained that already. Special reports for every issue, again, I have just been talking about it. Next update is They have rebuilt tools for internal page rank calculation, XML sitemap validator, source code and HTTP header analysis, and sitemap generator. So, internal page rank. This is the thing that took almost a minute to analyze when we first posted the project. This is a tool that shows you how a link weight or link equity is distributed throughout your website. It helps you find any dead ends. When some page has incoming links but no outgoing links, it means that it's a dead end. It doesn't link to any other page and it doesn't pass on the link weight and breaks your link weight distribution inside your website. So it shows you what is the authority of every page on your website. It's worth a separate video on it because it's insanely useful for reworking your site structure and working on internal linking on your website. And either way, it was updated in this version. They've changed the formula a little to make it more accurate. Next, there were some changes to XML sitemap validator. It now analyzes up to, I think it was 30 something possible errors with sitemap, and you also can use Netpeak Spider to scrape the links from sitemaps or ping the sitemap to the search engine to notify the search engine if there were any changes to the sitemap. Next, the source code and HTTP header analysis tool has been reworked. Previously, I believe it was the crawling mode for the Spider. Now it's a separate tool, and it can show the source code of the page, and you can use settings to show just the text on the page. Sitemap generator has also been improved. It now works only with compliant URLs. So if your page is disallowed in robots.txt, has canonical to a different page, or no indexed, it will not be included in the sitemap, which is a pretty cool change in my opinion. So these four tools, internal page rank, XML validator, sitemap generator, and source code and HTTP header analysis have been improved in the new version. Now you have custom templates for settings, filters, segments, and parameters. Everything that you work with here is customizable, as you have probably seen while I was doing here. For example, you have your parameters here, which ones you want to work with. Then you have settings, a bunch of them. Again, they worth showing in a separate video, just a number of threads. Let's give it to 10, not to overload anything. So when you change anything, you have the option to save it as a template, and then when you want to work on different websites with the same settings, you can go ahead and open that template with your selected parameters, with your settings, and work with that. Next on our list is virtual robots.txt, which is a feature that allows you to test robots.txt settings. You can go into settings, open virtual robots.txt, enable it, paste wherever you like. For example, you want to see what happens if you disallow every bot from your website. You resume crawling, and with virtual robots.txt, Netpeak Spider will not find any changes or any issues or anything in general. To check if it's working, you can see that the number of non-compliant URLs is changed in here. It's updated live, so it was 5,000, now it's 6,300. And after you pause it, you can see that the number of compliant URLs didn't change. We've gone through like 500 or up to 1,000 pages in this short period, and nothing was registered or no issues were determined because all of the URLs are now non-compliant. Let's not use that. Let's get back to our list. You can combine the crawling modes into one. You have two crawling modes on Netpeak Spider. One is to check the website, as we're doing right now, and another one is to check URLs separately. So right now with this update, you can go and check the website, and then at the end add the list of URLs like this here, and resume crawling. The Spider will first check the website that you have, and then go on to check the URLs you have just uploaded. You cannot combine two websites at once, but you can combine any website with any list of URLs. Next, we have the list of URLs skipped by Crowler. It's this tab here. I don't have an example right now, but it shows you which URLs were not analyzed by Spider while checking the website. Usually because you have decided not to check them. For example, you've gone to settings and set up a rule to exclude any URL that contains the word blog. So if you have this setting and you analyze the website and Spider encounters a URL where the word blog is in the address, this URL will not be analyzed and you will see it here in this list. Another updated 3.0 is the quick search in tables. It means that you can perform a quick search inside your tables. For example, I have a list of broken links here, and I want to see if there are any pages from the blog here. So I just use this quick search feature, and I have the list of URLs with the word blog in them that have broken links, or that are broken links actually. So this is how the quick search works. It works on pretty much any table that you have on Netpeak Spider. Next, we have delaying of comprehensive data analysis. We have seen it in action. So the Pagerank, for example, it's being calculated after the crawling is complete or after you hit pause. Moving that little bit of calculation to the end of the crawling has a huge effect on increasing the speed of crawling itself. Also, you have monitoring of memory limit for data integrity. Tracks the amount of memory available for running a website test, and if it's less than, I believe, 128 megabytes, it will not start, and you will see a warning, and that way you'll be able to resume crawling on a different machine which has more memory on it. And there are also hundreds of other improvements of which you can learn from this blog post here, and from the Netpeak software blog in general, where they share a lot of use cases for the Spider and explain what's new with it. So go ahead and check out the Netpeak Spider 3.0, a new version of the Crowler, which is probably the fastest crawler available at the moment, with a ton of cool features. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time. Bye.